to the Mariners. Yahoo Sports Jordan Shusterman joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Jordan, how's it going?
Hey guys, doing pretty well. This baseball team seems to kind of know what they're doing right now.
Pretty fun. They're a pretty fun team. I don't know that anyone outside of the Brewers are having a better time right now than the Mariners. So again, getting back into tied for first place, 8-game win streak. We were talking about kind of what the story of this stretch of play, and I would say like of the Tiger series heading into now has been for the Mariners. What kind of team do you see? Like, how are they winning? Is it impressive to you? Are they scraping by? Like, what's sticking with you from this stretch of, let's say, about a month?
Yeah, I think it's funny timing. We just kind of talked about it on the podcast we recorded this morning, but the win that they are coming off of yesterday in Baltimore, that is the kind of win that I think a lot of Mariners fans have grown a lot more accustomed to seeing in recent years.
A classic.
But not as much in the past month or two, where you've just seen the offense kind of overwhelming the opposition in a lot of cases. So that was kind of almost like a refreshing reminder of what is possible for a game like that. And I think that's really, whatever. It's obviously you're going to look good during any 8-game winning streak, but in this case, to win in so many different ways, to win some close games, to kind of blow out some teams, it's a lot is obviously going quite well there.
What do you think? It's obviously it's a team sport. No one person is responsible for the success of the team, but who do you think has the bigger piece of the pie when it comes to, okay, without this guy, or about maybe give it a couple guys in, without these couple of guys, this team probably isn't tied up with the Astros right now?
Yeah, if we just focus on the last few weeks, it's a little bit of a different list than we talk about, the whole season. Obviously, Josh Naylor has made a massive impact. But man, we're really starting to see Julio get going. I think seeing JP kind of start to find it again has been certainly encouraging as well. But yeah, obviously you look at just even this win streak. I know Cal's certainly hit some huge home runs, but I know he's also hitting like 125. So, and obviously Geno, that's been part of the funny part of this stretch is how little he's obviously contributed. But at the same time, yeah, it's just a reminder of the depth of that lineup and getting back to the mound. George Kirby, like now this is starting to look like George Kirby. It took a while. I think you could understand that it was going to take a while for him to really dial it in, but now we're starting to feel like, oh yeah, like that's the version that's looked like at times the best pitcher on the Mariners.
I think it's like kind of expected for Cal, where it's like, yeah, we never expect the average to be super high. He had been kind of a 3 true outcome player. 3 home runs in 3 games is still pretty solid. But you're right, it still technically is like falling into this not so great August that he's been having and kind of a second part of July. That being said, for both Cal and for Geno, do you expect that to swing back towards some more positive momentum for them?
Yeah, I think so. I think what's most troubling about Cal recently has been the strikeouts have definitely ballooned to an even higher level than even they were when he was going well. So what that's a product of, I don't know. But obviously he's still come up with a couple massive swings along the way that can, I think, totally legitimately cover up for some of the other struggles, especially when you consider how much production he's already given them this season. It's hard to get too greedy when he cools off. And again, the pressure's just not as on him as much, which is kind of the irony of it. You would think that this stretch with all these other hitters going would have less pressure on him, but either way, I'm sure he still feels the weight of the expectations in the first half and all the fame that he's kind of gained over the last month or so with the home run derby and everything. So I expect him to kind of get back to at least getting on base more consistently, especially when he starts facing some more lefties. And then Geno, I said this at the time, like this is a guy that's always going to run hot and cold. We're talking about a small sample. He's always going to strike out. So Geno, I think, is also probably going to kind of find his way back into it.
What's the profile of this team now? I've heard people describe this team as the bats are hotter than the arms right now. We come into the season, you want to be a contact type of team. No, you're hitting bombs now. What's the profile of this team, and how much credit does ownership and management get for kind of morphing the way that we look at them?
Yeah, you obviously you give credit to the front office for pushing in some chips at the deadline. Although it is just so funny. It's like, yeah, they're all in. It's like, nah, they still have a billion top 100 prospects. Like all in would have been, beating the Twins offer for Duran, or beating, going out and trading for multiple closers and another hitter. And like, there's all different levels of it. Now, that's not to take credit away from the moves that they did make. And again, if we focus on Josh Naylor, right? I mean, to jump the market and get him a week before the deadline for him to contribute like that, that's the move they really deserve credit for, as much as getting Geno, let alone being able to do it without parting with any of your top prospects. So obviously those moves are good. I think Ferguson will help. But yeah, I mean, I think you've got to credit the players and the talent that have kind of come together and really are forming a about as complete of a team, complete of a roster as we've really seen during this era of Mariners baseball.
Building off of your point about Duran, how do you avoid a bullpen costing you games? Like if you're the Mariners, if you're looking at the Mariners right now, you're easily going, hey, my big question for them is pitching, primarily whether not going to add more arms is going to cost them. How can you avoid that? What would be that secret sauce approach?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, like the solution to the bullpen, and listen, credit to Matt Brash. Obviously, Munoz incredible in the first half. He's looked a little shakier lately. And listen, Spire is good, and Vargas and Bizzardo, like you can't just totally discount what they've been able to give this team. That said, I think the answer to the bullpen not being a concern is just the starting pitching becoming back to like super duper elite. And I mean that because then you just have fewer spots where you're taxing guys. This is both true in the regular season and in the postseason, where you're just shortening the games and you're making sure. I know you talk about shortening the games if you have a super bullpen. Oh, you only need your starter to go 5. No, if you're starting to get 6 and 7 from your starters, it's just fewer outs to worry about. You're keeping your relievers more fresh, and that includes even that second level of guys who we've seen have success, but then also when they're overexposed, struggle a little bit. So I don't really there's not really anyone in AAA where it's like that guy's like the secret weapon. So that's the thing that I'm worried about. So I still think that is the major concern at this stage based on the roster construction, but I think the starting pitching getting back to what it was last year, which right now is kind of trending in that direction, that would ease the burden a lot.
We opened our show, and obviously we're excited about, where the Mariners are as it stands right now. And I told Stacy and the listeners that I'm excited, but I'm giving the old, like, all right, let's calm down, though. Like, there's still some things we have to do. It's a hard balance, to be honest, Jordan. Like, it's tough because I like what this team is doing, but I still look at teams like the Astros, and I think to myself, they could get hot. I mean, they got Baltimore twice. You got to sprinkle in Detroit in there. Then you got the Rockies after that, and the A's. Do you see a world where the Astros start to perform at a higher level? I mean, are they getting healthy? What's going on over there in Houston?
Yeah, I mean, neither of these teams have the toughest schedules the rest of the way. I think Houston does have one of the easiest slates left, but the Mariners are not that far behind if you're just going pure, strength of schedule, winning percentage of their opponents. That said, I think that you're it's not even a matter of skepticism, right? I think that the reason why people are extra excited is not just the fact that they're tied. It's that the Mariners look like one of the best teams in baseball. They are playing like it. They look like it. The roster looks like it. This isn't just a situation where you're looking at the standings and it looks favorable and you see this opportunity. They look like a team that should win the division, that could win the division. To your point, that doesn't eliminate Houston from the equation. They are still having injury issues. Add Josh Hader to the list. Now, sure, they're starting to get a little bit healthier in some respects. Getting Christian Javier back will help. Astros are absolutely still capable of winning this division, but I think that's where the Mariners' optimism and excitement comes from, justifiably so, is that the standings reflect the way that they're playing, which is they look like a really, really good team. So if they continue to do that, I think the opportunity to win the division should be there.
We're going to get an up close and personal look at the Phillies, one of the hottest teams, another really, really good team right now. The Brewers obviously on an 11-game streak, so 2 National League teams that are just absolutely cooking. The Mariners, as one of the hottest teams, obviously in the American League. Who else from the American League are you looking at? Because for a while we were talking about Boston, Toronto for a minute there. Who right now are you looking at going, watch out for these guys because they're also cooking?
Yeah, I mean, I think Toronto still falls into that bucket. I think Boston, as underwhelming as their trade deadline was, I think still has the pieces. You catch them on the right day. That is not a team you necessarily want to mess with. And listen, as embarrassing as the Yankees have been over the last 6 weeks, that's also a team where it's like, well, hold on a second. Yeah, there's still a lot of talent on this team, and they do have Aaron Judge, and they do have some really good pitchers. And so they clearly have some issues they need to sort out. And listen, I got the Cleveland Guardians in my backyard. They're not going away. I mean, that's a roster and a team, because of what they've gone through this season, is doesn't appear as threatening. But they're not necessarily anybody to mess with. I know Seattle's next trip is coming to Cleveland, so I'm going to see them a bunch. I'm going to see the Mariners in Williamsport. I'm going to see them, of course, in Cleveland here at the end of the month, and we'll see how they're looking when I see them up close.
How important is a guy like Solano in this situation, right? Because when he got signed, they were pushing just leadership, contact guy. He got sprinkled in a couple of nights ago, comes up with a hit. But I always think about like the old guys on the team that can whisper the right things to a team and get them going. What role does he play in this whole thing? Because they obviously still think he holds some value.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that like this role, which is a bench bat, which is someone that you can pinch hit, someone that you can, plug in there on more favorable matchups, that's what he should be at this point in his career, right? This is not someone that you should be rolling out there every day, and that's why they went out and got Josh Naylor. So I think this role fits him a lot more. How much he's going to be able to help on the field versus off the field, we'll see. There's also some pretty big questions about this roster moving forward with guys like Victor Robles and Luke Raley coming back from injury. Obviously, the rosters will expand in September by a couple spots, but that's probably only going to be one hitter, and seems like those guys are going to be ready before then. So how that impacts Solano, Mastrobuoni, Dylan Moore, we'll see. But I think for Solano in particular, yeah, I think the role he's in right now is just way better suited for it.
Stepping back from kind of current events with the team and looking more at like a big topic, that being Cal Raleigh, his relationship with the catchers, pitch calling, trust. You had a great feature. It's older, but it was a great feature on Yahoo Sports detailing kind of Cal's growth as a catcher, his relationship with them. It's one that I read a while ago. It was a fantastic read, but I've been thinking a lot about this year when it comes to just watching games a little bit differently, the little moments, whether it's Cal like punching his glove, trying to, get someone, jacked up and like get some of that confidence in there. What did you find yourself learning, if anything, about the relationship between a catcher and his pitchers from that column?
Yeah, I mean, this was a story I did almost exactly a year ago, I want to say.
Great.
It was a feature about Cal and Logan Gilbert. So it was really kind of about both of them because they were really the stars of last season. But yeah, I mean, Cal, I think it really comes across when you see the mound visits with someone like Logan Evans, right? Or even an Emerson Hancock and understanding that is where you want to feel comfortable with Cal. Where you are going to feel comfortable, you are going to feel better, you are going to feel more confident when Cal Raleigh's coming out there and kind of navigating through. Now, in some cases, obviously he has a great relationship with all these pitchers, but each of them he has to manage differently, both literally in terms of like how he's catching the game calling, all that stuff, but then also from the interpersonal standpoint. George Kirby definitely needs to hear different things than Logan Gilbert, than Brian Wu, than Luis Castillo, et cetera, et cetera. But this is also just part of all the value of Cal Raleigh that is why the team invested in him, and is why even if he wasn't on pace to win MVP or almost win MVP, he would mean so much to this team. And when you have a catcher like that, the impact he has on both sides of the ball, it's incredible.
Do you expect them to eventually move on from Harry Ford with the greatness that Cal possesses, or do you see a scenario where he is the backup and he does get his moments throughout the season?
I'm really glad you brought him up because I've been thinking about Harry Ford a lot since the deadline and how we all just assumed he was gone. And I'm sure they did discuss him in trades. I think it is totally reasonable because he's a very valuable trade chip, a near big league ready, someone that you can imagine people viewing as a first catcher for the future. That said, it's not unreasonable to look ahead to next year and think that they could start to work Harry Ford in as the backup, as someone who gets some DH at bats, as someone who can get Cal Raleigh off his feet. I mean, you look over in Atlanta and see the way that Drake Baldwin has really broken in this season. That's with an established guy in Sean Murphy. There is a way to do a two-catcher system. Now, Cal Raleigh is at a different level at this point. We understand that he is the guy, and that is why Harry Ford remains, even going into the offseason, a very valuable trade chip. But it wouldn't shock me if he goes in next year and wins that backup job out of camp and does become a part of this roster in some form.
He is Yahoo Sports Jordan Shusterman, kind enough to join us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Thanks, Jordan. Have a good one.
Thanks, Jordan.